Hey guys, recently got myself a new rugby jersey. I'm going to show that off in just a tick. If you've got a real keen eye, you would have actually seen it in the background of one of my videos a little while ago, but otherwise I haven't really drawn any attention to it. Then going to talk a little bit about World Rugby and their back and forth with Steve Hansen. Typhoons that are currently affecting Japan, and a little bit about New Zealand Rugby's CEO, more about the announcement than about the actual CEO, but hey. Firstly, though, quick congratulations to Nels, who was drawn as one of the winners for these All Blacks iPhone cases from Otterbox. I did pick two winners. Nels got in contact with me, so liaised with Otterbox to get that one sorted for Nels. The other person didn't contact me in time, so yeah, I've still got one phone case to give away. It'll be one that looks like this. It won't be one of these ones that have been at my house. It'll be one that gets directly given to you. You order it, get a promo code, and get it for free, basically. So if you're keen on getting one of these Otterbox phone cases, we'll do a secondary draw. Just send me a message on my Facebook page, which I'll put in a link in the description, with your favorite All Black and Y, and I'll message you there if you're the winner. I'll close that in a few days. But yeah, congratulations to Nels. Hope you enjoyed the All Blacks iPhone case. Pretty sweet stuff. If you wanted to get a discount on one, I'll put their code in there as well. They're pretty nice. It's just a pity I don't have an iPhone to put one in. But hey, that's what that is. Jersey. This one arrived a little while ago. It is the Uruguay jersey for, this one's from the 2015 World Cup. It's the only one I could find. There are a few shops which sell Uruguay jerseys. It seems to be that the stadium in Uruguay sells them on game day, but they basically don't ship internationally. I tried contacting some of the shops with these jerseys. Nobody would reply to my messages, I guess because I was sending in English and Google translated Spanish. So I ordered this one. It was the last one in stock from a shop in the UK. Guess they've had it sitting around for 4 years. It's a 3XL, which is usually enormous on me. Like 2XL is usually pushing it. I usually go XL or 2XL, but I went with the 3XL. Luckily, it's actually not all that big. It's just really long. So I'm pretty pleased to get this one because, like I said, it was really hard to find, and this is the last one. Like this Tonga one that I'm wearing now was the second to last. This is the last Rugby World Cup jersey that I needed for the current set of 20 teams. So be it the home jersey or away, I have one team to represent all of the 20 teams. So everybody gets represented at the Rugby World Cup on this channel anyway. So that's pretty special. I'm pretty happy to get that done. So yeah, Uruguay jersey. Just in time for the Rugby World Cup. I did hang it in the background of one of my jerseys, one of my videos the other day. I think in like one of the pools, I put it, whichever pool Uruguay's in, I was doing a squad for squad video, and I put it in the background of that one. Maybe the Australia one, we'll see. But yeah, so that's the new jersey. It is pretty nice stuff. As I said, last one, so pretty happy with that. Just before I go on to the World Rugby back and forth they've been having with Steve Hansen after that big All Blacks blowout over Tonga the other day, I would just like to say a special thank you to my 19 patrons on Patreon. That's Lewis, Hansen, Charlotte, William, Ribsy, Mr. Mark, Michael, Jacob, Scooter, Nicholas, Xavier, Charles, Dead Grubber, Carl, Morocco, Alan, John, Samuel, and Johannes. Thank you guys for the support on Patreon. It really does help the channel. I'm trying to grow that as much as I can. I've been putting a bit of extra content there. Did a bit of a look around Eden Park when I was at the All Blacks game. I did a little look around Eden Park when I was at a Mitre 10 Cup game. The difference is pretty stark, to be fair. And yeah, I took some footage at the All Blacks Tonga game at Hamilton the other day, so I'll be editing that up into a little package sometime for Patreon people as well. So if you are considering supporting me on Patreon, please yeah, have a look. There's a bit of content on there. I try to post semi-regularly, just a bit of extra content, and I check messages there pretty regularly as well. So you know, it's easier to check those ones than the YouTube ones and whatnot. But hey, yeah, keep it in mind. Next, World Rugby, as I said. It's an interesting one because Steve Hansen, after that game against Tonga, which was 92 points to 7, really highlighted that gap between the top teams, and I think Tonga's 15th in the world. So it really highlighted the gap between these two teams, or these grades of teams. And Steve Hansen, basically blamed World Rugby in his press conference for this kind of disparity between these teams. At one point, he said that he talked about the rugby calendar not having enough game time for the tier 2 nations. He said there's not going to be any progress until they're willing to give up kind of those packages that they've already got at the moment. But World Rugby hit back, basically saying that they're not leaving all these tier 2 nations on their own. They are trying to help out. They're saying, they put an article in the newspaper in the UK to say they put 115 million, I think that's 60 million pounds, so 150 million New Zealand dollars, into second tier nations in preparation for the World Cup. And basically that they pay the salaries of some of the coaches, like the Fiji coach, they pay the salary of the Namibia coach, they pay the salary of the Canada coach, they pay £250,000 to support the Fiji Drua in Australia's NRC, which is a third level competition. Basically World Rugby is saying, hey, we're doing stuff, we're throwing all kinds of money at it. But I think Steve Hansen's point is not so much about the money, although the money is a big factor, it's probably a key factor. But the fact that these teams don't get enough game time, which has been highlighted by loads of people in the article I read, which I think was on Stuff in New Zealand. All Blacks played 47 tests since the 2015 World Cup. Tonga have played 21, so less than half, which I think it's obviously going to be a reason that these countries can't get their team up to a higher level. They're just not playing enough games. So that's a fact. Whether that's going to change or not in the near future kind of remains to be seen. The money does seem to be the big talking point about most of the stuff. But yes, it says in the article that Steve Hansen did sympathise with Tote Kefu, who is the coach of Tonga, and basically said that Steve Hansen only has to pick players from 5 teams in New Zealand, whereas Tote has to pick players from all over the world, and it's not always easy to get the players that he wants. So what do you guys reckon about this situation? I think all of us would recognize there is a problem. Whether there's an easy solution, probably not. There's never a simple fix to these things. Maybe there is, but it'd have to go through a fair bit of red tape for sure. Next, about the Typhoon. Now that's a bit disconcerting leading up to the Rugby World Cup. I mean, the last I read in the weather reports is that the Typhoon's probably going to be out the way by the time the Rugby World Cup itself is going to kick off. But basically the Wallabies have had to delay their trip to Japan because of Typhoon weather affecting Japan. There's all kinds of rainfall, crazy winds and whatnot. So I read just a key point about one article which could, hopefully not, but it could potentially affect the way these pools are going to line up. But it says there are no reserve days for washed out games. And somebody actually mentioned this in my video about the World Cup format the other day. No reserve days for washed out games. If it's a game that gets washed out, which is pretty rare in rugby, but I suppose if it's a Typhoon it could happen, the game will be declared a 0-0 draw if they are abandoned prior to kickoff or during the first half. From halftime on, the score would stand in an abandoned game. So if the All Blacks were down at halftime and the weather really kicked in, they would get the loss. If the All Blacks were playing Canada and the weather went nuts, 0-0 draw. So that could be pretty interesting. Hopefully it doesn't affect any of the games, but I suppose it is that kind of season. Japan is known for the odd bit of extreme weather, so one to watch. Interestingly, the Wallabies are the first team to be affected. Lastly, New Zealand Rugby has a new CEO. It's going to be a new CEO. It's Mark Robinson, who's a former All Black. I'm not too fussed about that news. I think most of us don't really monitor. Some of us would, but I'm probably not one to monitor who's running the show back in the boardroom. I mainly found this funny because there was a Twitter post from the All Blacks Twitter page which basically said in 2 hours, or at least I read it 2 hours after it had happened, but be prepared for a big announcement, which is coming later today. And all the comments were people saying, oh, is Nani Lamapi being called up for the All Blacks? Is Manonu being called up? What's the deal? And then they were like, oh, Mark Robinson's the new CEO. And the reaction could not have been much flatter. People do not care. That's the playing squad. That is the big news. So, yeah, if you're going to promote a big announcement, I suppose you better make it something worth the people's while. But yeah, that's the video. New Uruguay jersey, last one in the collection. Pretty happy about that. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon. I do enjoy all the messages, and I hope you guys are enjoying that little bit of extra content. It surely does help the channel to get a bit more off the ground. World Rugby and Steve Hansen, a bit of back and forth. You guys do let me know what your thoughts are on that situation and anything else you think World Rugby could be doing to help those countries aside from throwing money at the problem. Typhoons, hopefully they're not going to delay the Rugby World Cup. And New Zealand Rugby has a new CEO. Happy days. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.